Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We're bringing you a behind-the-scenes look at the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program. We'll also examine why the stewardship program and the operations it honors is so important to the beef industry.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Russell Nemitz. Protecting and improving the environment has long been the focus of America's foremost land stewards, farmers and ranchers. And each year, the Environmental Stewardship Award Program, also known as ESAP, recognizes our nation's best operations for their stewardship and conservation efforts. Today we're coming to you from the Blackleg Ranch in North Dakota, site of this year's ESAP Selection Committee meeting. We're going to talk to these committee members and get their thoughts on why the ESAP program is so important. Let's start though with a closer look at how the ESAP program works and the value it brings to the beef industry.
The Environmental Stewardship Award Program was established in 1991 by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and National Cattlemen's Foundation as a way to recognize the nation's best cattle and livestock operations and their stewardship and conservation efforts.
They all strive to make their operations better in order to pass it down to future generations. And they all do it because they love the land. They don't do it for, financial reasons. It's just a true love for the land and the business and their cattle.
The regional winners and one national winner are selected annually by a committee of experts from in and outside the cattle industry. Any organization or individual can nominate a beef producer for the award.
Every state I know handles their environmental stewardship application process a little differently. Here in North Dakota, we rely on our grassroots to help identify their peers who they think have done something exemplary. It's not as scary or as daunting as it may seem. And even though there's several pages that you have to gather in order to compete at the national level, the kinds of questions really that are in the stories and the facts that are included in those applications, for the most part, are things that your candidates know at the top of their head.
Winners also serve as on-the-ground spokespersons to show consumers how cattle producers are effective caretakers of the land.
One of the greatest values is the outreach that the program has, both within their producer peers, showcasing their story, telling their story to peers, in addition to telling the story to the general consumer. The great work that these folks are doing out on the land and on their operation.
We'll utilize them in press releases and magazine stories, and again, showcase the talents and achievements that they have showcased in lots of different ways to help put kind of a human face on what stewardship looks like in terms of North Dakota agriculture.
These ESAP winners know they are temporary stewards of the land, and the livestock and management decisions they make today will help ensure a viable operation for future generations.
The Environmental Stewardship Award is one of the shining stars within the beef industry. I think whether you're a regional or a national winner, you're all a winner. You just have a different story to tell.
It's very rewarding. Certainly it's something that has been a treasure for our organization and has helped create positive light, not only on the Environmental Stewardship Award Program, but the association and the broader beef industry.
Joining me now is Homer Buell, and he's a Nebraska cattleman and the chair of this year's awards selection committee. And Homer, thank you for being with us today. And let's talk about the significance and the importance of the ESAP program to the U.S. beef cattle industry.
This morning we toured the Blackleg Ranch, the Doan family. They were the 2016 award winners for the ESAP nationally. It's such a great example of why the National Cattleman does this. Jerry has a passion for everything that he does. Environmental stewardship is high up in their priorities, as well as leadership and telling our story. So to take these people that do great things throughout this country and then take them out to the public in general, to consumers, and even for ranchers like myself to learn from them, to use them to tell our story is the value that the National Cattlemen and our industry in general makes from this program.
You know, you talked about Jerry Doan. The entire Doan family basically bleeds passion and enthusiasm for the cattle industry, and now they bleed that same sort of passion and enthusiasm for the Environmental Stewardship Award Program and the awards process. Walk us through the selection process of selecting a regional winner like the Doan family.
We get, all of us that are on the committee get about a month ahead of time. We get the various applications. Along with those applications, we receive it's a sheet, the scoring system. Environmental stewardship is the highest, the most points are figured into that. Secondly, it's leadership. It's what maybe that family, that farm, that ranch is already doing in regards to changing the perception of our industry out there, telling our story. And that's the next highly rated thing. And then we look at all the endorsements that they have, as well as are they economically viable? I mean, because that's important. When you talk about sustainability, the economic, being viable is an important part of that. So we get those applications. I mean, they're well done, they're long, and so you need a lot of time to spend reading them. We all score them. When we come together here, then this afternoon we'll start and we go region by region. We'll look at, and we vet each of those operations. We think it's important. They've taken the time to give us a quality, good application. We need to take the time to really go through it.
Homer, over the years, it's been fun to see this program grow, and thankfully more and more applications are coming into this very prestigious program. With that said, it also means competition's becoming more and more tough. In your mind, or in your opinion, what can make an application or a nominee stand apart from maybe some of the others?
I think it comes down to what do they do in the entire area of their community. And I'm going to steal a phrase from Aldo Leopold, who wrote the Sand County Almanac, noted conservationist. He talked about the community. And most of us, when we think about the community, we think about our neighbors, our town. But in the way he looked at it, it's everything that's there. It's the wildlife, it's the plant life, the animal life. It's, in our case, it's our ranch, it's our cattle, it's everything that's out there from a wildlife standpoint. But it's also our neighbors. It's also the town. So how does that farm or ranch and the people that run that, how do they affect every bit of a part of their community? So I like to look and see, just well-rounded, and do they do something maybe just a little bit more than the average.
So after the regional winners are chosen, what's the next step in the process?
They, of course, a group of video people are sent out to their farms and ranches, put together. I've seen some of them through the years, very professionally, that kind of tells each of their stories of those regional winners. Then they're brought in to the summer meeting for National Cattlemen. We get together for lunch where they get a chance to meet the other winners, the other regional winners. But they also, those of us that are on the selection committee, get a little bit of a chance to interact with them as well. That afternoon, they go through a process of media training, and even if they don't become a national winner, the regional winners are still going to be out there in front of the public, still going to talk about what they do and really help tell the consumers, the public in general, as well as other people like myself, what they've done on their ranches. So they get that media training. We have a supper that evening, and then they're announced that evening, the regional winners, and honored in that way.
And what would you tell a cattleman or a cattlewoman out there who's maybe sitting on the fence and who can't decide whether or not they want to send in that application and be nominated?
I tell them they'll enjoy it. I think just going through that process and helping whoever you get to help you put it together is an eye-opener for them too, because I think many of these ranches don't really think about the things that they're doing and the good things that they're doing, so that I think it's a process that's good for them. But also it's so important that we have ranches like these applications we have this year, that they are taken in front of the public, to the consumers, to the lawmakers, and tell their story, because the regulations, the various things that we operate under, they need to understand how and why we do business. So for a ranch to go through that, they'll enjoy it. I think they need to do it for our industry as well.
Well said, and thank you for stepping up to the plate and serving as this year's chairman of the selection committee.
Thank you.
If you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. Still ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll hear about the benefits of having a regional stewardship award winner for a state cattle organization. Plus, we'll talk with one national winner about the application process and what winning the award has meant to their operation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Beringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else.
Welcome back to Cattlemen to Cattlemen. We've now moved to the offices of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association here in Bismarck, North Dakota. And as we continue our conversation today about the very prestigious Environmental Stewardship Award Program, we're going to talk with Scott Ressler. He's the North Dakota Stockmen's Association's Environmental Services Director. And Scott, walk us through the process on how you select and even nominate somebody from the great state of North Dakota for this very prestigious ESAP award.
Sure, Russell. You know, North Dakota is blessed with lots of good producers who take the right steps in addressing these environmental concerns and doing all the conservation practices that are enhanced through our operations. And certainly, we have many to pick from. We get opportunities from our board of directors and from many of our members that nominate operations that wish to be chosen for this prestigious award. And it comes down to a tough decision by our committee when they get a chance to review all the applications. And so it makes it a fun process, but a tasking process, if you will, to pick a winner, because there's lots of good operations in North Dakota that are eligible for this award.
What about the application processes itself? I mean, is it hard to fill out? Is it something we should be scared of? Talk about that.
You know, Russell, the application process would probably be the easiest part. Going out and pounding in all those posts and addressing all those environmental and conservation needs on our ranches would be the hard, laborious part. And so actually filling out the application is pretty easy. It's really what you have on the ground already. The process isn't too detailed, and anybody can make the nomination and bring it forward to our board of directors, to our committee. And so that process is the easiest, I would say.
What's it mean to have a regional, or in some cases even one of these national Environmental Stewardship Award winners like the Blackleg Ranch coming from right here in North Dakota?
Yeah, we certainly knew they were a strong application, and over the years we've had some regional winners, which we certainly were very proud of them, and we're hoping that they could take the trophy all the way home with the national winner. Fortunately, Blackleg Ranch did do that for the state of North Dakota, and you're going to get a chance to go see it and certainly see why they were chosen as the national winners. They do all the right things, to be honest with you, and it's not necessarily about the large operations potentially that we have across the state. It's really about doing the right thing with what you've been given, and Blackleg Ranch has demonstrated that for lots of years, and we're happy that they were chosen as the winner, and more happy that they're from our state of North Dakota.
So after their selected as a regional or even a national winner, Scott, how do you put these winners to work? How does the North Dakota Stockmen's Association capitalize off of bringing the prestigiousness of winning an award like this home?
Sure, you know, we have different cattlemen meetings across the state and different functions, and we'll put their story in our different publications. But we get them out actually in front of cameras, in front of groups to talk about that it's not that difficult to do the right thing when it comes to conservation and addressing these concerns that we would have in the state. And so it really comes second nature for some of these guys to get up there. They're a little nervous at times to do some public speaking, but really it's really what they do on a day-to-day basis. So we're not asking them to, to talk about too much, but we do utilize them to our benefit to promote the cattle industry in North Dakota, as well as the conservation efforts that have been taken by many operations.
And what's your message to other producers out there about they too getting involved with the ESAP program and the award itself?
Yeah, most cattlemen, of course, we stay between our own fences and don't really want to look for any glory, but our recommendation to them would be, step forward, throw your name in the hat. You have done a lot of good things in your own operations, and so be proud of what you've done and proud of what you're going to do to pass that on to the next generation. Get your application into our office here at the Stockmen's Association, and we'll run it through the chain and hopefully have a chance to be a regional and national winner again, similar to the Blackleg Ranch.
Absolutely, well said. Thank you for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Well, welcome to North Dakota. We're happy that you could come.
And we're happy to be here, and these Environmental Stewardship Award winners are making a difference in today's beef cattle industry. To join them and become a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, it's really easy to do so. All you need to do is visit ncba.org. Here now is North Dakota's national winner of the ESAP Award, Jerry Doan of the Blackleg Ranch. And Jerry, thanks for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Let's first have you describe a little bit about your operation here in North Dakota.
Well, my great-grandfather came out of Canada in 1880 and then ended up in Dakota Territory in 1882 and homesteaded here, lived in the sod house, and it was pretty challenging out here on the northern plains. And we're fortunate, we're 5 generations with the 6th generation on the ground, and so it's exciting, trying at times, but very exciting to have I've got my 3 boys and my daughter all involved, and they all went off to colleges across the United States, worked off the ranch for a while, and then decided to come back to North Dakota because they love the country, they love agriculture, they want to be involved. And so we're excited to have them. It's a family. It's not always perfect, but it's really exciting to have them as well.
What's been one of the biggest changes you've seen, whether it be within the family itself or the operation as a whole, since winning the regional and the national ESAP award?
Well, of course, we were really excited. North Dakota never had a national winner since this program started. And so I always tell the story, not to pat me on the back, but to bring it home to North Dakota for all the great things that all the ranchers and farmers across North Dakota do for conservation and trying to bring the positive message to consumers. And here on our place, and I've been fortunate to be able to go across the United States speaking on conservation, intensive grazing, bringing the next generation back and building soil health. And so when people introduce me or they find out I won the National Environmental Stewardship Award, right or wrong, it gives me just a tad more credibility. And so it's fun, and it gets me on I guess, a bit of a pedestal to tell that story. I think this award is tremendous, and we need to do more of that to tell the story to the consumer that we're out here doing positive things to protect our natural resources, to propagate the wildlife, to put a good, healthy, nutritious product on the table for them to eat and for their families to eat.
Well, not just you, but your entire family have become even bigger spokespersons for the entire beef cattle industry. Walk us through the nomination process. I mean, a lot of folks get scared about any application. Was this one difficult, and was it worth it?
Well, it's dang sure worth it, but they're a headache, I'll be honest, and we were fortunate. The North Dakota Stockmen's Association came to us and they said, we'd like to nominate you for the state award. And of course, we had to go through an application process. You know, they had staff people that helped us, but we spent a fair amount of time. You've got to give them the right information. So I won't lie to people, it takes some time, but we need to do it because it's the right thing to do to get that message to consumers. So I encourage folks, you know, come to any of us that have won. We can help you get to organizations, and it's not just the stockmen. There's different wildlife groups out there and others, conservation groups, that are yearning to help you put that application together. I sat through the process here today, and it's interesting, and you can see the difference on some folks, and they've probably done a lot, but they haven't had a little help to put that application together, and that's important. I mean, if you're going to go after it, do it right and make it good.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great story to tell, and it's been proven time and time again. Folks outside of agriculture want to hear it directly from farmers and ranchers, and this is a great opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to spread that message, and I said this on the tour this morning because we bring a lot of folks onto the ranch from across the country, and we've had them here from 40 foreign countries. And one time there was a fella here from New York, and he said, "Jerry, will you sit down? I want to tell you." And he said, "You think you produce the best beef product in the world, and you maybe do, but where I'm from, they don't care if they get it from Zimbabwe or Timbuktu. And where I'm from, they think you're ruining the waterways of the world, you're polluting the streams and rivers. They think you're ruining the atmosphere. They think you're beating the animals." And he said, "What I see on this ranch is nothing like that. I see you and your family embrace conservation. You're embracing regenerating and improving the natural resources and wildlife." And he said, "I challenge you, tell the story, because if you don't, you're going to get more and more regulations, more and more problems, more and more consumers that don't believe in it." And I've never forgotten that, and I take it serious. Everywhere I can, or any people we bring here, we try to tell that story.
Well, we appreciate you telling that story, and thank you for being on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, and for letting us bring this segment from your ranch here outside of Bismarck, North Dakota.
Well, we think it's darn right cool that you guys are here in North Dakota on the ranch, and we just love having you.
Yeah, well, we do too, and again, thank you. And ranchers in North Dakota and all across the United States are in fact making a difference and protecting our environment. You can see their stories again and learn how to nominate someone for the ESAP award by visiting environmentalstewardship.org. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, more on the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program, including insight from this year's co-chair on the selection process. Don't go away, we'll have more right after this.
No matter what job I've got to do, my John Deere 5E tractor can do it all. Whether I'm cutting, moving feed, or building a fence. Using my 5E means my work gets done faster at a price I can afford, and that works for me.
Welcome back. We're at the Blackleg Ranch here in North Dakota, where the Environmental Stewardship Awards Committee is meeting to select this year's regional winners. Now, joining us on the program is T. Wright Dickinson, a Colorado cow-calf producer and co-chair of this year's ESAP Selection Committee. And T. Wright, thank you for joining us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Let's kick things off talking about the importance of the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
Well, in 1991, when the forerunner to NCBA started this program, it was important that we acknowledge the good work that our producers do and the sustainability of our operating systems. And it has been my pleasure to be part of this process and see the generational good work that our folks continue to do and be able to highlight to our consumers and our fellow producers.
Maybe take us inside the selection committee meeting, if you will. I would have to imagine there's quite a few tough decisions made on a day like this.
Not without the secret handshake. No, it's a very good group of people. and it has been really interesting for me to be a part of that process, to see the selection process and get to look at these applications from across the country. Every one of these people is a winner in their own right. And it becomes a very difficult process to narrow this down to the regional winners and ultimately to find one national winner in this process. And we've got them. They're in every one of these applications. And you folks that are out there, you can be one of these too.
You know, as you look through the applications, T. Wright, I mean, what impresses you most about some of the nominees that you see and get to decide on?
Well, we've had everything from first-generation producers, which is really neat to see it now in our industry, all the way to multi-generational families. And to see that stewardship ethic that every one of these operations have, all of this starts with the stewardship ethic, because to make long-term investments in our resources, our land, and our people, you have to have a long-term vision, and every one of these families has that.
And I guess finally, what's your message to state cattle organizations about how to help these nominees get involved with the overall process, get them maybe selected as a regional winner, and hopefully get them selected as the national winner?
Our affiliates are critical in this process, and I couldn't be more proud. Formerly in NCBA, I represented Region 5 as a vice president, and it's a bit of a sporting event within our regions, people encouraging their producers. We need to have 4 or 5 applications in every region and make our conversations here at the committee extremely difficult. And we've got a lot of those on the applications we're going to be looking at today. But I encourage producers, I want to congratulate your home state in Montana. Those folks up there do an excellent job. If you look at the concentration of past winners out of the state of Iowa, those folks have a really good program, and each state should emulate what those guys have been doing. It's really neat.
Hey, we appreciate you being with us on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. There's that secret handshake.
You bet.
T. Wright Dickinson out of Colorado. Don't go away. We'll have more right after this.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
Welcome back as we continue our discussion today about the Environmental Stewardship Award Program. You know, this program wouldn't be possible without the support of the sponsors who have joined with NCBA and the National Cattlemen's Foundation to keep the Environmental Stewardship Program going strong. Now, joining me now is Damon Palmer, who's with Corteva Agriscience, which is the agricultural division of DowDuPont. And Damon, first question, why don't you tell folks at home a little bit about Corteva? Because there's been a name change, if folks in farm and ranch country haven't heard about.
Yes, you're right, Russell, and glad to be here. So Corteva is the new combination of DowDuPont and the agricultural division within that. So it brings together our heritage Dow AgriSciences company, DuPont Crop Protection, and also the Pioneer Seed Company. And so those 3 companies together, the vision is that we pull those together, become a standalone ag-focused company, and so we can serve farmers and ranchers better.
So the next obvious question is, even though there's been a name change, your commitment to this very prestigious ESAP award and program hasn't. Why is the company so committed to the ESAP?
So, you know, at Corteva Agrisciences, we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into defining our purpose, because we truly are a new company with 3 great heritage companies. And our new company purpose is to enrich the lives of those who produce, those who consume, and ensure progress for generations to come. And when you look at the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program, it really just embodies our purpose as a company, and it's focused on stewardship, conservation, the environment, and it also has great benefits to the producer as well as the consumer as we take them good quality beef through the value chain.
Now, Damon, how does Corteva not only help these ESAP operations, but all the other beef cattle operations across the country?
Well, Heritage Dauger Sciences had been working with beef producers for over 70 years. And so Corteva looks forward to carrying that tradition forward. We have great brands in the marketplace today that help ranchers with noxious weeds, invasive weeds and brush like Grazon, Grazon Next, as well as Pasture Guard, Chaparral, Remedy, great brands that ranchers know and trust. We're really excited about the next generation products, which ranchers will start to see coming yet this fall into next year. And that new product that we're talking about is MesaView, which is going to be the new standard in prickly pear control for a lot of those producers down in the southwestern geography of the U.S.
Perfect, that sounds good. And I know a lot of cattlemen and cattlewomen will be anxiously awaiting that new product for sure. Last question for you, my friend. You've been in the selection committee now. What has impressed you most about seeing the different nominees from across the different NCBA regions?
Well, you know, it's such a cliche, you know, to hear something like, well, it's just an honor to be nominated. But as you read through these nominations, it's awe-inspiring as to what you read. And so this year, along with the selection committee, we were able to come out to one of the past winners. So being able to see what he's done in action and then read through these nominations, it's really just inspiring to look at how ranchers are focused on the next generation and then also providing a great beef product to end-using consumers. So it's just, it's really good to see, and it's going to be a tough decision when we come out of that room.
Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes out of that selection committee process to join us today.
All right, thank you, Russell.
You bet. Now, one of these Regional Stewardship Award winners will be named at the national winner at the 2019 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show coming up in New Orleans. The convention is an outstanding place to share beef industry success stories like these while gathering ideas, education, and some information that you can use back home on your own operation. The convention starts on January 30th and continues through February 1st. You can find all the details at ncba.org. Joining us now is Townsend Bailey of McDonald's, the newest sponsor of the Environmental Stewardship Awards. And Townsend, for folks at home, let's talk about the decision by you folks at McDonald's to become one of the newest sponsors of ESAP.
Well, at McDonald's, we're proud to be a hamburger company. That's our iconic product. We've been selling hamburgers since day one, and we recognize that how beef is produced is really important for our business and for our customers. And the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program is a great way to recognize leaders in the industry.
Absolutely, and of course McDonald's has become one of the true leaders in this new buzzword out there in the entire agricultural industry, sustainability. How do you guys define sustainability and what's it mean?
Yeah, that's a great question, Russell, because sustainability is often a misunderstood word. But at the end of the day, it's what we all want to do. We want to leave our operations, our businesses, whatever it is we're working on, we want to leave it better than we found it. And so it's about continuous improvement for the environment, for economics, and for people and animals.
And I think for farmers and ranchers, they tend to get scared of new buzzwords like sustainability, but in more times than not, they're already doing exactly that. They just called it something different.
Exactly. You see that through all these Environmental Stewardship Awards applicants, the way the innovation, what they're doing on their land, all the different things they're trying, and how they're driving continuous improvement, protecting the environment, creating great food, and taking great care of their animals and their families as well.
You know, tie it all back together. Why are operations like these that are recognized either regionally or nationally as part of ESAP important to organizations like McDonald's?
Two main reasons. First, they help our customers understand where their food comes from and the people that are producing the food and all the hard work that goes into it. And then second, as we continue to strive for continuous improvement in the industry and for our supply chain, these winners and regional champions are great examples of what can be done and of innovation and how how beef plays a really important role in the ecosystem and also in our economy and on our plate.
And finally, give us your impression of being part of this selection committee and the process that goes into it, and the nominees from the different parts of America.
Russell, I've been so impressed with the quality of the applications. I mean, each application is it's a really hard process to watch that selection committee go through, and I'm also so impressed with their thoughtfulness as they engage each application. Each application is a great example of innovation, continuous improvement. They outline problems that they're solving, how they do it, results. It's really it's something the industry should really be proud of.
Well, we thank you for joining us on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, and we thank McDonald's for becoming one of the newest sponsors to this very outstanding ESAP program. Thanks again, Townsend.
Thank you, Russell.
Now, if you'd like to stay up to date with what's happening with NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, check us out on Facebook. We keep you posted with lots of information about upcoming shows, farms and ranches that we're visiting around the country, and we share legacy photos there as well. So check us out today on our Facebook page. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Say goodbye to your toughest pasture and rangeland weeds for good. Because one product offers season-long control, handles the widest spectrum of broadleaf weeds, and clears the way for increased forage with greater grazing flexibility. So you get more beef per acre at a cost that can't be beat. It's Graze On Next HL herbicide, and if it's in your pastures, plain and simple, weeds won't be.
Welcome back to Cattlemen, where today we're highlighting the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program and the selection process to determine this year's regional winners. Now, over the years, many winning operations have pointed to the Natural Resources Conservation Service as a key partner that helped them achieve their goals. We asked some past winners to share how NRCS helped them with their stewardship efforts.
I think we've used just about every program NRCS has ever come out with along the way. In one way, shape, or form, it started out with the fencing, and then started out with fence and water development, and then went into no-till. They helped us get started with no-till, and some with the cover crops. They had some programs with the cover crops, and we learned a lot from that. And like I say, we've used a lot of NRCS's programs over the years.
Well, NRCS has been great, and we've had a wonderful association with them in doing things and showing other people what we're doing. But they were really, really good and instrumental in getting us hooked up with the EQIP program to put our solar watering system, and also some cost share on our divide fences on our rotational grazing plan. They were really good on helping with that.
Everybody talks about financial assistance from NRCS, which is very important, and I appreciate all they do for us with EQIP and some of the other programs. But just as important, and it really doesn't have a value, is their technical support, and all of that help.
I'm good at what I do, but they have people that have areas that's all they do. In bringing their expertise in and working with what I do, in bouncing ideas off each other. They learn a little bit from me, I learn a lot from them, and we refine what I'm trying to do.
We started looking at NRCS's help to do some EQIP programs. We put in watering facilities so that we could cut our pastures up. I think NRCS is probably one of the best things that is out there for the farmer and rancher, and if we take advantage of what they can do, they can really help out an operation.
Here now is Gene Foltz and Beverly Mosley with the NRCS, and thank you for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. We actually drew straws in the break leading up to this to see who get to go first. And Gene, you're the lucky winner.
All right.
Well, let's talk about why the NRCS is so proud to continue to be a long-standing supporter of the very prestigious ESAP award.
First, I guess it would just be the fact of recognizing the natural resources. Natural resources are very diverse over the landscape, just the same way that the producers are diverse.
And so we really do appreciate the opportunity to meet up with some of these folks and understand what they're having to go through, their limitations. We also appreciate the learning opportunity they give to our employees. We get to go out there, whether it's some of these award winners or whether it's just a hard-headed producer, our employees are always going to learn something from them, and that's just going to make our jobs better.
Absolutely. Beverly, let's visit with you here for just a little bit. How important is it to have producers out there on the land that are embracing, some of these new ideas and techniques and see them implementing them?
Well, it's important that they're out there grabbing those new technologies, those new ideas. One thing we see through the ESAP award and through our work with producers on the ground with NRCS is we see a lot of innovators. We see a lot of those producers that want to make that difference on the land, that want to take that next step, that want to do a little bit of research, go a little bit further, even maybe take a little test plot, just see what works different and sometimes what works better. So as long as we've got those innovators, we're always moving forward and we're always making a difference on the land.
Gene, what's your advice for producers out there who may want to start doing some of these new ideas and techniques with conservation on their farms and ranches, but maybe just don't know how to get started?
Well, the first thing I suppose would be to have patience, to realize that this system is not really something you can turn on and off. So the first couple of years, you really need to get a baseline of your monitoring data. What are the resource conditions out there? Once you get that baseline, you're going to be able to set up your goals a little bit better. You're going to be able to prove to other people that your management plan's a good idea and that you will be able to show that increase over 10 years or so.
Finally, Beverly, what's your impression been today sitting as part of the selection committee, deciding on who are going to be the new regional winners of the different regions of NCBA and those who have been nominated?
It's an honor, honestly, to be able to sit there, to go through these applications, to read about these ranches, to step inside their gates. They're telling us their story. They're letting us know what they're doing on the land, the differences they're making, the innovative ideas they have, whether it's moving from this water source to different kind of more mobile water source, and being able to work through those applications. And then the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program is so important to have these leaders out there within the regions. And then when we pick the national winner, these are those voices for the industry, for conservation, for stewardship, sustainability. These are the people that we need, and these are the applicants that we get. And it is a tough job working through these applications because there's some outstanding stewards out there.
Well, we certainly appreciate both of you taking a little bit of time and joining us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen today. Now, it's easy to get started on conservation planning. Just call your local NRCS office or visit the website nrcs.usda.gov to learn about the technical and financial assistance the NRCS can provide. We've talked about the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef on this program before and why its efforts are critical to the long-term success of the beef industry. Joining us now with an update is Josh White, Executive Director of Producer Education for NCBA. And Josh, first things out of the chute, let's talk about what the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef really is.
Well, it's a multi-stakeholder initiative, really pasture to plate. Everyone has a place in the beef supply chain at the table. And it's an effort to do for all of us to do better, to do a better job of raising cattle, to do a better job, through the packing process, retail, food service, all the way through to the consumer, to deliver a great product to them and to improve the way we do that, whether it's related to the environment, whether it's related to how we raise animals, worker safety. Those are some of the key pillars.
Why is it important for the U.S. beef cattle industry, and how do programs like ESAP play a role in it?
Well, grazing management from the cattle production side is a huge component of the new sustainability framework that's just been rolled out. I would encourage people to visit USRSB framework environmentalstewardship.org and check that out. But grazing management is a huge part of that. And when we come out to these environmental stewardship functions, we look a lot at grazing, how the cattle are raised out on the land, how they preserve natural resources. It's just a huge part of how we raise cattle, right, on all the landscape across the country.
You know, what are some of the other highlights of that framework you just mentioned?
Well, I mentioned animal care and well-being. That's another large one, and the Beef Quality Assurance Program certainly supports that effort. Also the worker safety, and that goes more into the packing industry, obviously, more so than a lot of ranchers. It's just them and their family. Of course, we want them to be safe, but they don't have the ability to influence large numbers of workers, just their own crew. So different segments of the industry have different areas that they need to focus maybe a little more attention to, or have the ability to make a better impact to improve. But just like today out here in this beautiful ranch, we're seeing great practices that have been implemented, but the folks at Blackleg are looking to still improve. They're trying new things every day to make them, you know, have to feed less hay, to be more productive, to improve their soil health, to improve their wildlife population. And that's the ultimate message, is we're all in this together to get better every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Josh, I mean, how can producers make sure their voice is being heard in this whole process, regardless of what sector of the U.S. beef cattle industry they might be part of?
Well, as I mentioned, the framework has just been launched, so I would encourage folks to visit the usrsb.org website to just get general information, but then comments on the framework, as I mentioned, are at usrsbframework.org. All of that is open for the next few months, so I believe early July is when that first comment period closes, and it's open to anyone. You don't have to be a member of the roundtable to comment. There's a lot of room to improve the existing framework, and the folks that have been involved in it know that. So we're not sensitive. We want comments. We want to make it better.
Thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
And as Josh mentioned, you can follow the work of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef at their website, usrsb.org. And please be sure to do your part in shaping the sustainability framework by submitting your comments by July 1st. Still ahead, it's time for a visit with our good friend Baxter Black. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're connected with the beef cattle business, then you should like the NCBA page on Facebook. The NCBA Facebook page shares photos, news, and valuable information about the beef cattle industry. You can also follow the NCBA Twitter feed at Beef USA. So stay in touch with NCBA on Facebook and Twitter.
We know you're up before the dawn because the cattle rise before the sun. And you spend long hours in the saddle because the herd isn't always over the next rise. And you care for the land because you know it takes care of your family. And we know you do great work. And it's time to tell that story to the marketplace. IMI Global is here to help you do just that.
Pardon me, if you're looking for Baxter Black, you know, the funny cowboy, he's right here with a special offer. 6-hour-long DVDs filled with live shows, Emmy-winning comedy, all Baxter at his best. And the price is right, $25 plus shipping. 800-654-2550 or online at baxterblack.com. As Farmer Bill from Alabama said, he's the only famous person I know who is just one of us.
Howdy. There's something oh so charming about women's basketball, or lawyers wearing leotards, or sweethearts with a drawl. I like doctors with mascara and with painted fingernails, and flirty flight attendants with their pretty ponytails. There's schoolmarms in the classroom. Some are nice, but some are meanies and hurricanes. And hurricanes named Rita. And there's models in bikinis. I like pilots wearing lipstick, flying flappers, flexing flaps. But in my heart, my greatest love is women wearing chaps. Oh, I know what you are thinking. That's the dumbest thing I've heard. But a cowboy's life is simple, so it's really not absurd. See, all day he's punching cattle, and though some might not agree, one can tire of endless blue skies and the vast serenity of the majesty of mountains and the beauty of the plains that the Western singers yearn for in their wistful, sad refrains. But for me, the scene I picture between the daydreams and the naps is riding drag on my old pony behind women wearing chaps. You can call me a romantic, even pansy if you choose. It's not the cowboy image that the movie moguls use, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder, so we're told. A flower to a botanist, a fungi to a mold. Tight jowls and big firm heinies is a pork producer's dream. Clear water to a plumber, to a vampire, it's a fleam. But to a cowboy, making long days, checking fence and water gaps, his idea of perfection, his triple-decker shoot the moon till death doth he collapse, his Venus on a half shell is a woman wearing chaps. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Saddle up and make your way to Denver, Colorado for the 2018 Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting. This is your chance to stay up to date on beef industry trends and policies. Meet with industry leadership and your fellow cattlemen and women. Plus, you'll get insights on hot topics at the Issues Forums. Mark your calendar for the 2018 Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting, August 1st to the 4th in Denver. Find out more at ncba.org.
That wraps up this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, coming to you from North Dakota. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.